Hey there, what's going on, everybody? It's Star. So, fantastic news. TikTok has been banned. You know what else has been banned because TikTok has been banned? CapCut. CapCut was literally my video editor. It was how I edited my videos. So now I'm just out here with no video editor. And I am trying different stuff, but I still need to get videos out. So I'm just using this video editor for now. It's really laggy so far, so I don't know if I'm going to continue using it, but I'm just going to have to keep searching around for different video editors until I find the right one, because I just don't have one right now. Yippee! I wasn't really concerned about TikTok itself being banned. I never used TikTok, and I didn't really think TikTok was that great of a place. And there was a couple of other apps that were being banned as well because they were under the same company name, but I still wasn't concerned about those either. It was CapCut that I was concerned about, and I didn't even realize that it was being banned along with TikTok until the literal day that TikTok was being banned. So yay, look at how prepared I am. So just pray for me while I try to edit videos with this new software and still get videos out while dealing with this crap, but that's not what today's video is about. Today's video is about the new year. Yay! So I should have gotten this video out earlier this year. I should have at least got it out at the beginning of January, but I actually didn't even get this idea until like way later. Plus, I've been super busy. I just quit my job and I am job searching a lot, as well as doing a lot of different stuff creatively right now and starting school in a different place. So I'm doing a lot, and I just wasn't able to get any different types of videos out, but I was able to get that TMNT video out, and I'm glad that I was able to do that because I love making that video. But today I wanted to touch on some of my old works, touch on how much I've improved in the past, couple of years, and talk about my favorite pieces from 2024 and how it is expressing how much I've changed as a person over, the years and stuff. So I thought that would be a pretty good way to start off the new year, is a reflection. So without further ado, let's get into it. So 2019 was when I first started my professional artistic journey, trying to get work based around my art. Because it had just occurred to me back then that I could actually make money off of something that I really like to do. So I wanted to try and do it, but I had no concept of anatomy or of color theory at all. But I had a lot of ideas and I had a lot of motivation to design characters, so that's what I started doing. So these images are from the first few characters that I started creating digitally, and the first software that I used was IBS Paint. This first image is Molly. You guys have already heard of her, and I'm going to put the most recent ref sheet that I made of her on the screen later, but this is the very first drawing that I ever made of her. The next couple are the beginning of me exploring different types of characters in different universes. This is Astrid. You guys saw her in the video where I was talking about putting my OCs in Halloween costumes. And this is basically the Alinthi universe, which was heavily based off of My Hero. And a lot of my work was based off of My Hero and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time, because those are the two shows that I was really into, and I was just starting to get into My Hero at that time as well. So this universe was heavily inspired off of My Hero. And then this is also when I started with Ruby, Rob, and Aspen. And I can't remember exactly what this story was called when I was writing it, but it was basically about a girl who was an alien and who was dropped off on Earth after her planet was destroyed, and she was raised by a little old couple. It was basically directly inspired off of Superman's story. And I did miss these characters and wanted to draw them again, but I would probably tweak the story a lot if I was to ever go back into writing this. For the rest of 2019, I was exploring more of Molly's past. I was exploring her as a child, and I was exploring her family designs, and I was also just beginning to insert her into the TMNT universe and drawing her a lot with Casey. We all know 2020 was a very weird year for everybody, and I was definitely one of the people that was stuck inside the house for the majority of the time. So I was just trying a lot of new stuff, and I was really just throwing stuff at the wall to see what would stick. I was doing that little object head trend. I was putting real photos in the backgrounds of a lot of any original images that I made instead of doing actual backgrounds. I was doing that little weird aesthetic background thing where I was putting like blocks behind characters. I was just drawing food. I was tracing over images of real people. And I had also done a bunch of different AUs. I had brought a bunch of my OCs together into one post. I had did the Devil's Curse AU where I put Molly and Casey together and Casey was a demon. I also did a lot of draw this in your styles. I did so many of those. I also released a bunch of new characters. I released Gracie, which I haven't drawn in a long time, but she's basically a person who has a condition that I called sticker pox, where she just has a bunch of random images on her skin, similar to chickenpox, but it's not curable or anything like that. I introduced new characters to the Olyntha universe. I introduced Naomi, which was a Japanese OC that I was trying to work on. Hazel and Quinn. Hazel was just a one-off OC. I wasn't really trying to do much with her, but Quinn I had actually drawn. I kept drawing for a while, and she was basically one of those rebellious characters that ran away from home and was trying to live on her own and stuff like that. I also wanted to practice drawing somebody with vitiligo, so that was extremely fun for me to do. Quinn has always been a very fun character to draw. I stopped drawing her in like 2023, so it's been about a year since I've drawn her again, so I'll probably bring her right around back. So a lot of my work in 2021 was centered around My Hero. I couldn't tell you why. I think I was in a phase where I was just really into My Hero. I think it was one of those times where I was binging all of the seasons in one sitting in a night. So I was extremely into it, and when I tell you my feed was absolutely covered in My Hero content, it was the only thing that I drew. I didn't even draw that much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles content anymore. It was mainly My Hero stuff. I was drawing a lot of Shigaraki. I was friends with someone who was extremely into Shigaraki, so I was just drawing him over and over and over, and I was doing crack ship stuff. So I was putting Molly with a bunch of different people, including Shigaraki. I was putting her with Hawks because I loved Hawks. He was my favorite character at the time. He still kind of is. I was drawing Bakugo a lot because of course you would. I had a Sona that I made that I was drawing a lot, and I had like 3 different My Hero OCs, and that I was drawing the League a whole lot too, because of course the friend that I was talking to at the time was also into the League just as much as they were into Shigaraki. I was just covered in My Hero content. There was no escaping it. In 2023, my style was at its peak. This was the point where I had switched accounts and I was focusing on developing the stories of my already existing characters. I had started off with developing Molly's story, and then I had a lot of posts dedicated to Blaria, which is the story called Otherworldly that I talked about before, which is basically about a village girl that was in the center of a conspiracy that had to do with multiple dimensions, that was centered around her village. I was still heavily into My Hero stuff, but I was branching out to other aspects as well. I started doing character guides, even though I had scrapped the continuation of that really early on, but it was basically the same as ref sheets, where I was drawing out a full body of the character and then putting down a bunch of inspiration and information about the character. I had branched off into TMNT content again. I was inserting Molly into a lot of stuff, and I was doing a lot of self-indulgent stuff when it came to TMNT. I was having a lot of fun with that. And then I had discovered pretty much exactly how I wanted to lay out my art and how I wanted to lay out my post. I started actually doing full-on backgrounds for once. 2023 was actually when I first embraced actually doing backgrounds and studying how to do them properly. And I was still doing a lot of experimentation. I had started college, so I was doing a lot of stuff for class. And this included me having to branch out to do stuff that I had never done before. 2024 started off with a lot of uncertainty because since I was in college, I was following a lot of advice from a lot of my peers and a lot of my professors. And I had one specific professor that was not very nice. I wasn't going to an art school or anything, but he had come from a very big art background. So he was very harsh about anything that had to do with the arts, and he was even more harsh about it since the school I was going to wasn't an art school. So it affected me and how I drew a lot and how my style looked a lot. But eventually around the middle of 2024, I had become way more comfortable with my work, and I had started doing things that was more centered around what I actually wanted to do. And I started having fun drawing again. There was a lot of self-portraits that came out of it because every time that I am experimenting and every time that I'm having sort of a crisis with my art, I go to portraits so that I could use that as an opportunity to experiment. And that's exactly what I did. And I was just having a lot more fun. I was exploring a lot of different concepts. I had a lot of fun with Inktober, and I was bringing a lot of my older OCs back. So I was just having way more fun with everything that I was doing. So finally, we could get into talking about my favorite pieces of 2024. And this first one is called Blinding Shining Star. And I believe it was a project for class. And at the time, I was really into collages, and I really liked the idea of making something look like a traditional drawing, but using a digital medium. So I really wanted to add some implements of, paper and plastic pieces and stickers and all that junk in this image, but doing it with a digital medium. I also am really into experimentation. You guys already know this. So I was trying to show that topic that is very close to my heart. So I first created these characters back in, I think it was 2018 or 2019. And basically, the idea for these guys originally was that it was going to be a little RPG horror game, and I was going to design it in that type of way, and I was going to censor any illustrations that I made for this book around that idea. However, later on down the line, I realized how much the story did not reflect horror as much as I wanted it to. So I had changed it to an actual book that I was writing, and I switched it to more of a thriller adventure type of story, so that it wouldn't be centered around horror. And I spent a long time working on the designs of these characters and their personalities and their stories. For a while, I was struggling with designing them because Valeria didn't have enough personality. She didn't have enough things that were interesting about her that would make people want to read about her as a protagonist, and that really upset me. So I just worked really hard to actually start making her have a better personality and, making the story better and more interesting to read before I actually released it to the public or to have anybody read it. I was very self-conscious about this story, but it was one of the most important stories and that I had ever written, which is why this piece is one of my favorite pieces of 2024. This piece set the precedent for me basically going on ahead and releasing the story to people and letting people read it, and it was one of the best decisions that I made. I always hold back when it comes to releasing information about my characters and about embracing stories, and I always, procrastinate when it comes to stuff like this. But when I made this piece, it basically set me up for, success and pushing me towards, doing more with the story. So I am extremely happy with it. right, now this next one is basically the most recent ref sheet for my character that I talked about at the beginning of this video, Molly Maheshwaran. And I want you guys to just watch very closely as I sit here and try to learn how to draw a heavier set character with this ref sheet. It was wild, and it was really funny to look back at this and see my lack of understanding when it came to this body type. At this point in time, when I drew this, it had been a while since I had actually drawn someone of that body type, like a long while. So I didn't know what I was doing as much as I thought I did. And I had a friend of mine as well as my significant other nearby when I was doing this, and they gave me a lot of pointers and a lot of help. So over the course of the speed paint, she got a lot better. But basically, this is one of my favorite pieces of 2024, because this ref sheet set the precedent for what Molly's new character was going to look like. As you guys know from the character guide video that I have for Molly that's on this channel at the moment, she was basically made for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That is what I designed this character for. That is what I was using her for and inserting her into. And then later on, when I got into My Hero, I also inserted her into those universes. And I had a ton of fun coming up with the story for her for those universes and drawing her with those characters. And it was super awesome. But now I have OCs, separate OCs for those universes already, and, you know, centered that more around those characters instead of Molly. So at this point in time, when I drew this ref sheet, this is the point where Molly is no longer attached to those universes. She has her own separate universe now, and she has her own separate characters that she interacts with, and it has nothing to do with TMNT or with My Hero anymore. I made this decision mainly because when I made Molly to insert her into those universes, I was a lot younger. I was a lot less experienced with story building and world building and with character design and just with art in general. And doing that with this character was a little bit more of an immature decision, and it hindered how much I could expand with this character and hindered how much I could do with her. And as I got older and as I fell more in love with this character, I realized that I didn't want to do that, and I wanted to branch out more with her character and make her her own person and put her in her own universe. So that's what I'm doing, and it was super fun to do. This piece took me a very long time. I think it took me about a week and a half to complete because of just how long this was, how much I was adding to this, and how much stuff I had going on at the time. But let me tell you, it was one of the most fun things that I have worked on. It was super cool to think about her and to think about all the things that she likes and to think about her universe in itself and what she was going to be like separate of, you know, TMNT and of My Hero. And it was just awesome, and I loved what this ref sheet basically showed. So I just had a lot of time making this. This is definitely going to be the longest speed paint of this video. Like I said, this took a very long time. There is just so many aspects to this piece, but I love it to death, and I love Molly. She is my favorite character of all time, hands down, that I have ever made. So this next one is basically my first design of Mama Tia. And this is basically a design that I had made for a studio called AAA Games. And I was trying to get a job with them, and they had asked me to create a character that was basically a Nordic shaman. And I just love the idea of that. It was basically a test. They wanted to see what my art style was like and what I could do based off of that to see if they wanted to hire me. So that's what I did. They didn't hire me. Of course not. So it was basically a thing where my style didn't match the style that they were looking for. So it didn't work out, but I liked this character a lot, and I absolutely loved the process of designing this character so much. So I decided to name her and go on ahead and give her a little bit more depth so that I could continue drawing her later on down the line. I have another piece in the works for her now, and I just love designing her so much. This was one of my favorite pieces ever, mainly because of how fun it was and how it basically, challenged what I could come up with based off of, putting two things together. And it was just really cool to do. So I really did enjoy this. I love the color palette. I love the, look that I came up with for her outfit and everything. And I just love the goofy energy that I was able to spew off of this character design. So it was just a really fun one. So this next one is kind of a short one, but it is one of my favorites, mainly because it was the most fun thing to do. It was mainly the coloring part that was the most fun to do for me. It was one of the first pieces that I made in 2024, and it was super fun. I think it was one of the first posts that I made when I made my new account, and it was just awesome. And I had tried a couple of new techniques, and I tried some different stuff that I never tried before, and used a really fun reference to make this. And I use it for everything. I use it as my profile picture for a lot of different accounts. I use it to show jobs, the type of work that I do. I just use it for so much stuff. It's perfect for, icons. It's perfect for that type of thing. And I just kept using it, and I keep showing it to people. It was one of my favorite pieces of all time, and it's extremely well received when people really see the detail of it. And it was just really fun. It's also, entirely of my favorite color. If you guys didn't know, purple is my favorite color of all time. And for whatever reason, I wanted to make this entire piece purple. I think that what I was just in the mood to do at the time. And I surely did. From the sketch to the final part, it was all in purple. So it was just extremely fun to do. And the coloring part was my favorite part of this whole entire piece. Well, guys, we have finally made it to the end of this long freaking video. 30 minutes for this entire thing, even more than 30 minutes actually, but it was very fun to sit down and recap a lot of my works and go back and see how much I have improved. I really wanted to make a video like this so that I could be completely transparent with my work and how it has changed over the years and what I'm more skilled at versus what I'm not, and just how much I have changed as an artist and as a person. There has been so much that has happened in my life, and I have gotten so far with my work, with my personality, with my emotional, financial, mental status, with my educational status, just with everything. I have just improved and I've gotten so far, and every day I thank God, and I am lucky to be in the situation that I am in currently. And people really pray and wish and work really hard to get to the place that I am at right now. So I just couldn't be more thankful and more blessed to everybody that has been there for me in my life, to everybody that is currently there in my life, and to you guys. I thank you guys so much for being here and for looking at my stuff and for giving me support. I couldn't be more thankful, and I really hope and pray that anything big that happens to me doesn't get to my head and I don't get a big ego like a lot of these YouTubers nowadays that have come up. I really hope that doesn't happen, and I will try my best to not let a bunch of numbers change my personality and change how I feel about this whole thing, because I don't have 1 million subscribers and 1 million views on every video, but I get decent traction, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. And I couldn't be more thankful for the people that consistently keep looking at my stuff, and I couldn't be more thankful for the people that do like my posts and that do come back every day to look at my stuff. I couldn't be more thankful for that type of thing, and I hope you guys never forget that. But enough of that sappy stuff. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this long type of video. Let me know if you guys prefer the shorter type of stuff, or if you like stuff that's 30 minutes long like this, and I will work to make more stuff that's similar to that, because I don't mind making videos this long. It just takes forever to render them, and it just takes forever to, actually make them. But I don't mind spending more time on videos if it means that you guys would more so enjoy the stuff that pops up on your feed when it comes from me. So I don't mind. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for the next video that's coming out soon, because it's a very exciting one and it's a very different one, and it's a project that I've been working on for a long time. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.